Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Wednesday, 28th August 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Jamaica's finance minister resigning from the ministry to join the International Monetary Fund. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Carrie-Ann Simpson of TVJ News reports that Jamaica's finance minister to become one of the 4 deputy directors of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke is leaving the government and is to take up the post of Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, effective October 31, 2024. Now, Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, made the announcement this morning in a press release. She described Dr. Clarke as an exceptional public servant and policymaker with proven leadership in institution building and economic crisis management, who has stewarded his country's economy to a stronger and more sustainable position. Now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness described the appointment as historic.
Plays an indispensable role in the world economy, promoting global financial stability. As such, the position of Deputy Managing Director is global in scope. No citizen of Jamaica, or the Caribbean for that matter, has ever before served at this level in the IMF. It is to the benefit of Jamaica and the Caribbean for one of our nationals to serve in such a consequential global position.
Dr. Clarke will succeed Antoinette Saye, who steps down on September 12. Our business reporter, Javon Keys, now joins us to discuss this major developing news. Javon, you've been speaking with stakeholders, including the Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva. What can you tell us?
Well, Terry, thank you so much. And to our viewers, thank you so much. This is a really big new story coming and major developing story coming out of the IMF. I mean, I can tell you yesterday we got an invite to what was set up to be a roundtable, but they did not disclose to us exactly what it was until this morning. And the major news came in that Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke has been appointed to be the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF. He will join the team led by Kristalina Georgieva, which will mean that he will be one of 4 deputy managing directors. And I mean, I just came off that call with her. We did, and of course we'll have some of that a little later on during primetime news, but she said one of the main reasons why he was selected is because of his experience leading Jamaica as a small island developing state and helping to shore up debt in the country, making Jamaica much more resilient than it was before. And she said those factors stood out to have him selected as a part of the IMF team. She also pointed out that for her, it's a big deal because he will now bring the perspective of the small island developing states and other members of the IMF pool of countries which are vulnerable to climate shocks and other adverse effects. He will be able to speak directly to them as she enters her second tenure, where she hopes to focus on climate resilience and building resilience in small island developing states. This is, of course, a developing story. We're gauging some more reactions. There is shock amongst a number of stakeholders. And of course, the big question is, who will replace Dr. Nigel Clarke as finance minister? Of course, we'll check that for you. But until then, back to you, Kerry.
Thanks, Javon. Now, in the meantime, financial analyst Dennis Chung is not surprised by the move of Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke. Mr. Chung believes that Dr. Clarke has performed exceptionally well for Jamaica and hopes that Prime Minister Andrew Holness will instill confidence in the new appointee to the Finance Minister post.
I'm not surprised by it. I mean, obviously the IMF would want someone like him in their corner. So I'd expect that the Prime Minister is going to select someone now who can instill the same amount or even more confidence. That's going to be critical as you select somebody, so it's not just putting anybody there, but you have to be very careful about who he selects and puts there to inside the confidence, the continued confidence in that role.
Now, when asked about potential candidates for the role, Chung had this to say.
The House, anybody who is from the House right now, I'd maybe go with Favour Williams. But outside of that, I would look outside to replace Nigel. I'm not saying that others are not capable, but, we need someone who people know understands finance very well.
In the meantime, the Energy Minister of Jamaica, Darrell Vaz, described as fake news word that Jamaica has discovered oil, saying he would be the first to release such news with excitement. More in this TVJ news item.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz has dismissed reports on social media claiming an oil discovery off Jamaica's coast. He labeled the news or the claims as fake news. Mr. Vaz stated that there is no such find and urged the public to disregard these rumors. He explained he received numerous inquiries about the matter.
As Minister, I can categorically state that there's no such thing. It is absolutely fake news. I, as Minister, would be the first one to be excited to share any such good news if and when that happens. So until such time as you hear from me, while I'm Minister, disregard all information in relation to Jamaica's discovery of oil. It is just simply untrue. Lie.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Lawrence Dupree has died. He would have celebrated his 90th birthday next month. While the exact details surrounding his death are still emerging, we invite you to look back on a life that impacted the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and wider Caribbean, more so the financial sector. Joel Julian, business editor of The Express, reports via TV6 News.
Lawrence Dupree's name may evoke different sentiments from different people, but his impact on this country's business landscape is undeniable. His journey into the spotlight, Lawrence Dupree's name may evoke different sentiments from different people, but his impact on this country's business landscape is undeniable. His journey into the spotlight began with his uncle Cyril Dupree. In 1936, Cyril Dupree founded the country's first locally owned insurance company, Colonial Life Insurance Company. What started as a life insurance provider grew into a major player in the Caribbean financial sector. Following Cyril Dupree's death in 1988, his nephew Lawrence inherited Clico. In 1993, Lawrence Dupree formed CL Financial, a conglomerate that initially served as a holding company for Clico. At its peak, CL Financial boasted more than 65 companies across 32 countries with assets exceeding $100 billion. However, in January 2009, things changed when then Finance Minister Karen Nunes-Teixeira, with Lawrence Dupree present, announced a major crisis in the CL Financial Group, necessitating intervention by the central bank and the government. On February 13, 2009, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago took control of Clico under Section 44D of the Central Bank Act to protect policyholders and prevent significant disruption to the financial system. The state initially pumped some $5 billion into Clico. In October 2010, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar ordered a commission of inquiry into the failure of CL Financial and the Hindu Credit Union Cooperative Society. Lawrence Dupree submitted a witness statement but did not attend the inquiry. In his statement, he described himself as a hard-working individual who contributed to job creation and wealth generation. Harry Harnarain, the former president of the Hindu Credit Union, agrees with that. Harnarain, who said he spent half his life in Clico, described Dupree as a visionary leader.
I can tell you that I have not seen and I don't expect to see anybody that is visionary and patriotic like that of Mr. Lawrence Dupree.
Nunes Teixeira has called for full disclosure of the Commission's report. While she said she did not have a close relationship with Dupree, she acknowledged his role in improving living standards for many. Nunes Teixeira said, quote, Mr. Dupree's passing is indeed sad, and it is also a loss. On November 27, 2019, Finance Minister Colm Imber told the House of Representatives that CL Financial and Clico owed the state about $23.1 billion. By September 2020, Imber placed the amount owed by CL Financial to the government at $30 billion. Additionally, Dupree was involved in a controversial issue regarding a $1.3 million scholarship for former Prime Minister Basdeo Pandey's daughter studying in London. Pandey was later acquitted for failing to declare his assets. Lawrence Dupree's passing marks the end of an era for the country's financial sector. We will continue to follow this story and provide updates as they become available. Joel Julian, TV6 News.
The 3 TN-Tech teams that helped to restore electricity on the hurricane-battered island of Carriacou have been given letters of commendation from Trinidad's Public Utilities Minister, Marvin Gonzalez. Details in this TTT News item.
During a simple ceremony, Minister Gonzalez said immediately following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, WASA and TN-Tech crews sprung into action to restore both water and electricity to areas that would have been affected in both Tobago and Trinidad. But he said the 3 teams that ventured to the devastated island of Carriacou must be commended for going above and beyond the call of duty.
And if you listen to the conversation in Trinidad and Tobago, you will believe that every single thing that happened here is wrong. It is as though we refuse to recognize our strengths, and we refuse to recognize the men and the women who work so hard to make our lives far better than so many places on the face of the earth. And what you have done over the last month, as we approach independence, indeed, we should hold our head high and say God truly blessed Trinidad and Tobago.
TN-Tech's General Manager Curvis Francois applauded the crews, noting that they gave a sense of hope to the hundreds of citizens on the island.
The arrival of TN-Tech in force meant hope for the people of Carriacou. And 4 weeks later, that hope was realized. When they brought on a street light in a community, one of the customers brought tears of joy came out. Just one street light. But 4 weeks later, when we left, 90% of the electrical grid, the HV grid, was repowered.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.